One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. Just to quickly recap Michael's piece, the idea here was Conference USA and the Sun Belt, geographically disparate leagues. If you combined them, split them between West and East, or played 4 pods of 6 schools, which would need the addition of one school, which Michael used James Madison as the example. You had some interesting perspective on the regional rivalry aspect of college football and the ability to sell tickets. Chris Massaro at Middle Tennessee State, he used the term a fiscally dramatic event would have to be what comes along to make things change. Dean Jordan from Wasserman said it all sounds good in a bubble, is basically what Dean said. And if we can put ego and brands to the side, yes, we can make it work, but that's a hard thing to do. Does this thing change in the next decade, Terry?
I think it could. And I'll tell you, because the money's at the group of 5 level is becoming very, very comparable. And you look at the group of 5 schools, except for maybe the American, I don't know all their details. They're probably still generating some revenues based on some of the past teams that were in the Final Four. And obviously you've got UConn and basketball that gets different type of shares. And at the end of the day, in my conversations with even ADs in the American Athletic Conference is, man, they can't sustain the cost. No one can. So if we really truly believe, as practitioners in our business, if we really truly believe it's about the student athlete, if we really truly believe it's about academics, we really truly believe it's about student athlete welfare, we really truly believe it's about fan support and rivalries, then we would make them regional. I'll give you an example. We're 50 minutes from downtown Memphis. 50 minutes. We play them in every sport. Every sport. And you know what? We're not in the same league. You know what? Besides an SEC school, we'll buy more tickets to the Memphis game for football than any other school, except for an SEC school. So that's why we play them. When we play in Tulsa, in our footprint, you have Louisiana Tech's not too far from us. SMU, all those type of schools. All college football and college athletics has been built on regional rivalries. Matt, can you name one cross-country rivalry that has done what a Alabama-Auburn, Nebraska-Oklahoma, UCLA-USC, Washington State, Ohio-Michigan State? The reason why the TV markets and the brands and the revenue is so high is all because of regional rivalries. Can you name now? You've got, back in the 90s, and you'd have a Florida State playing, Notre Dame, or you might have an Alabama playing USC, but those aren't regional rivalries.
Yeah, so, there's a couple of national rivalries that, Notre Dame, USC comes to mind.
Yeah, but Notre Dame is its own entity.
That's right.
Those are just 2 big brands, and that because of big game. It's not necessarily, it didn't create a conference dynasty, which Nebraska, Oklahoma created a conference dynasty. Alabama, Auburn created a conference dynasty. USC, UCLA helped create Michigan, Ohio State helped create conference dynasty. Florida, Georgia helped create conference dynasties. Those all the TV revenue is a direct result of strong regional rivalries. Someone has to prove to me otherwise. Can you?
Well, my interest is, and I know it was Chris's comment, but I'm going to pose it to you. What is a fiscally dramatic event that could occur that could really change the landscape here?
I don't understand what that means. I don't necessarily. I don't know what that. I mean, I understand what he's saying that in order. I don't know what that means. What's he mean by that?
I'm asking you. I suppose he means there's a time and place where you look at your numbers, and because of the travel associated with your current league and the lack of interest by your fan base because of games against a school 1,000 miles from you.
I kind of take that comment as we just need to sit back and wait, and see if what happens. I'm a proactive person, and I'm not trying, I know Chris, he's a good dude, and I'm not trying to, contradict what he's saying, but what I'm saying is we need to be proactive and create this for ourselves. And you know what? As the practitioners and the commissioners, we really can come together. And I've had this conversation with our commissioner, and he's on board. He agrees. He thinks it's an opportunity to really create some really exciting things. For years when I played at Arkansas State, we played Louisiana Tech and everything, and that was a big rivalry. I mean, they're 4.5 hours from here. Mm-hmm. Our fans would come there. Their fans would go there. It was a big deal. Now we don't play each other hardly anything. Mm-hmm. But at one time, it was a great regional rivalry. When we play Memphis and things, it's a good rivalry.
Terry, in your mind, when you talk about regional rivalries being the backbone of TV deals, are there regional TV outlets in and throughout the Southeast and Southwest, because some of these schools are certainly in the Southwest, that you feel confident that if there was the right combination of schools put together and rivalries created, that you could see increased TV numbers? Or are you more focused on what this could do to the box office?
I'm it's both. It's the box office for our teams and also what it can do. Because at the end of the day, all it matters about is the viewership. That's where the TVs make the money. So if we play, I'm just throwing that out, if we play Memphis in football, or you play Louisiana Tech in football, and you've got all the people in the state of Louisiana, all the people in Arkansas watching, that's viewership. They care. And you know what? So the numbers go up, and all of a sudden people say, well, hey, man, we can make some money on that. That becomes advertisers. You got local advertisers. You got national advertisers that do business in those states, and that's where you generate revenue. That's why. I mean, look, man, I grew up in Kansas City. I grew up in the Big Eight. And so I remember Nebraska, Oklahoma like it was yesterday. The only thing I ever watched in the South, I never watched the Alabama-Auburn games. So I never got any TV. We never really got SEC games. But I always remember Georgia down there because of between the hedges. I remember watching Georgia on Jefferson Pilot. You remember Jefferson Pilot?
Sure.
Yeah. So back then, I mean, so it was but until Auburn and Alabama continued, obviously it was huge in the state of Alabama, but really it was not huge nationally when I was a kid.
What type of promise?
Unless Alabama was, playing for the national championship, and you obviously at Texas, Arkansas was a big, the Southwest Conference. The old right. Southwest Conference was big. I mean, Nebraska, Oklahoma was always ranked 1 or 2 in the country for 30 years. Right. So right. that regional rivalry became a conduit to the national championship. That's what happened with Alabama and Auburn. So it's happened with, some of the other Florida State, even though they're not in the same league, but they're regional rivalries, right?
They are, right. I'm curious how you weigh digital and the growth of putting streaming games directly online through, a multitude of these different platforms, whether it be Facebook Live or Twitter, et cetera. Do you see that as a potential advancer of this type of idea, or you're still? Yeah, I
do, because I'll give you an example. We played Missouri. Missouri played at our Arkansas State last year. Because of the schedule, ESPN, which has our contract, chose not to pick up the Missouri-Arkansas State game because they had a lot of conflicts they already had in the hopper. So they put it on ESPN3. Well, ESPN made a presentation to our game. That was the most watched ESPN3 game last year, the Missouri-Arkansas State game. Mm-hmm. Why? Because our border, Jonesboro, Arkansas, is 45 minutes from the Missouri border. It's a regional matchup.
There's no more fascinating of a topic than where TV and digital is going, and right. And how it applies specifically to conference alignment. We could talk for hours about this, but
yeah,
I find
it. No, and I could too. I mean, I just think if we really care about all those, I don't think, this is me as a very proactive person, I don't want to sit on our heels and keep our head in the swivel waiting for something to happen when I know what could be the best for our group of 5. I truly believe dividing the group of 5 and mainly the 3 conferences in our footprint would be an outstanding opportunity for student athletes, competition, fan base, viewership, interest, everything. It just makes too much sense to me.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.